It was a simple act, but it held the promise of a glorious future.
Not far away, another kind of sowing was happening. A large crowd of people had gathered. They came from all the nearby towns and villages. They sat on a grassy hillside, their faces turned toward one man. This man was Jesus. He was not a farmer of fields, but a sower of words. He did not have a bag of seeds. He had stories. And his stories were like seeds for their hearts. The people listened closely. Some were curious, some were tired and looking for rest. Others were distracted, thinking about their worries and their busy lives. Jesus looked at all the people. He saw every person. He saw the hopeful hearts and the hurting hearts. He saw the open minds and the closed minds. He wanted to plant a special seed in every single one of them, a seed of God's love. But how could he help them understand? He knew he needed a story, a simple story about something they all knew, something they saw every day. So he began to speak, and his voice was gentle and kind. He told them about a farmer who went out to plant his seed. The crowd leaned in. They knew about farmers. They knew about seeds. This was a story they could understand. Jesus wanted them to see something important. He wanted them to see themselves in the story. As he spoke, the people could almost see the farmer in their minds. They could picture him walking through his field, scattering the seeds with a hopeful heart. Jesus' words painted a picture that was so clear it felt like they were standing right there with the farmer, watching the tiny seeds fall to the ground. Jesus knew that a story could go where a lecture could not. A story could sneak past the walls people build around their hearts. It could plant itself deep inside and begin to grow. He wasn't just teaching them a lesson. He was inviting them on a journey. He was asking them to look at their own lives, at their own hearts. His story was a mirror, and he hoped that when they looked into it, they would see not just a farmer and his field, but something true and wonderful about God and about themselves. Jesus continued the story. He told the people what happened to the seeds the farmer had scattered. Some of the seeds fell onto a hard path. It was the part of the field where people walked all the time. The ground was packed down and hard like a rock. The little seeds just sat there on the surface. They couldn't sink in. They couldn't find a home. Before long, the birds of the air saw the seeds lying there. They swooped down from the sky and gobbled them all up. Just like that, those seeds were gone. They never had a chance to grow. Then, Jesus told them about another place the seeds landed. Some fell on rocky ground. This ground had only a little bit of soil on top of big rocks. The seeds quickly began to sprout. They shot up, full of life, reaching for the sun. It looked so promising. But their roots could not go deep. The rocks were in the way. So when the hot sun came out, the little plants had no deep roots to find water. They withered away in the heat and died. Their life was short because they had no foundation. Other seeds had a different problem. They fell among thorns. This soil looked good, and the seeds began to grow. They sprouted and became little green plants. But they were not alone. Nasty, prickly thorns were growing there too. The thorns grew faster and stronger. They crowded the little plants. They stole their sunlight and their water. The little plants were choked by the thorns. They couldn't breathe. They couldn't grow tall and strong. Soon they were completely overgrown and they never produced any grain. But then, Jesus' voice filled with joy. He told them about the last seeds. Some seeds fell on good soil. This soil was deep and soft and ready. It welcomed the seeds. The seeds sank down deep into the dark, rich earth. They grew strong roots. They grew into tall, healthy plants. And those plants did something wonderful. They produced a crop, not just a little bit, but a huge harvest, 100 times more than what was planted. These seeds fulfilled their purpose. They brought forth life, and lots of it. When Jesus finished his story, the people were quiet. It was a nice story, but what did it mean? Jesus knew they were wondering, so he leaned in and explained it to them. The seed, he said, is God's word. It is the message of his love and his kingdom. And the soil is our hearts. Every time we hear God's word, a seed is being planted. The story was not just about a farmer, it was about us. It was about what happens inside our hearts when we hear about God. Jesus explained that some hearts are like the hard path. When they hear God's word, they don't understand it or don't let it in. Their hearts are closed, and so the enemy comes and snatches the word away before it can ever take root. Other hearts are like the rocky ground. They hear the word and get very excited, but their faith is not deep. When trouble or hard times come, their faith withers away because it has no strong roots to hold on to. They give up easily when things get tough. And some hearts, Jesus said, are like the thorny ground. They hear the word and it begins to grow. But they let other things become more important. The worries of this life, the desire for more money, and the distractions of the world are like thorns. These things choke out God's word. The love for God gets crowded out by all the other things, and their faith cannot grow strong and produce fruit. The seed is there, but it is trapped and cannot flourish. So what about the good soil? Jesus smiled. The good soil, he said, is the heart that hears God's word, holds on to it, and lets it grow. It's the person who listens with an open and good heart, and with patience lets the seed produce a wonderful harvest. So the question for you and for me is this: what kind of soil is my heart? Is it hard? Is it rocky? Is it full of thorns? Or is it good soil, ready to receive the seed of God's word? We can ask God to help us prepare our hearts, to pull out the thorns and break up the rocks so His love can grow big and strong inside us.
Thank you.